And that's what they had to say about that. Welcome, it's Amanda here. Welcome to the Arts and Wellness Café. It's so good to have you join me again. How have you been? Now, I want you to actually really listen to that question and really think about how have you been? How are you? How are you doing? You know, how have you been looking after yourself? And if you've watched if you've watched any of the episodes before, if you're new here, welcome. But if you've watched any of the episodes before, you will have experienced me asking you how you are, and think about some of the topics that we've spoken about and whether you've been able to apply any of them to your life. So this morning when I ask you, how are you? You're coming from a place where you actually do think about yourself. Because sometimes we can say, oh yeah, I'm fine. You know, you brush it off. Oh yeah, no, I'm okay. Yeah, everything's fine. But actually there's so much going on, and for all of us globally, there is so much going on right now that you can't help but be affected. And the levels of being affected will vary depending on who you are, where you're situated, your background, your past experiences, and your current ones. And you know, we have to regularly, if nobody's asking you how you are, then you have to ask yourself, and you have to think about yourself and say, actually, how am I feeling today? You know, like if I think about myself, like the day before yesterday, I had gone to bed late, and I was in the flow of things. I was in the flow of doing my work. Actually, let me tell you what the word for today is. The word for today is abundance. So think about that word as well while we just go down this little side road. But when I was thinking about how I felt really tired. Like I woke up yesterday with a headache because I hadn't had enough sleep. Now, you can't be going to bed at 2 and waking up at 6 and that be enough for you unless physically you're healthy. Because there was a point where I was doing intermittent fasting, but I was cutting out a lot of rubbish that I was eating, and my body was resting. My whole system had an overhaul, so that I really needed very little sleep. I was on the 4 hours, and I was waking up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I had energy and clarity of thought, and it was just an amazing time. So whether or not you believe in fasting and whether or not you do fast, a time away from the junk that, I'm not saying everybody's putting junk in their bodies, but a time away from eating highly processed, pesticide-ridden foods and herbicide-ridden foods, and allow your body to rest and allow your body to repair. So you don't need all of this stuff that they're selling out there where, you know, oh yeah, you know, you need supplements, you need good food. And when you start eating good food, nutrient-rich good food, with as close as you can get. If you can't go out and buy organic, get yourself a pot plant, put some soil in there, and start growing some things. Because even that little bit that you can do will benefit you in the long run. If you're not doing it at all, you have more benefit from that little pot plant producing, whether it's tomatoes, herbs, whatever it is you can grow in that pot plant that you can add to your diet. You're going to feel the benefits. Anyway, so so even today I'm feeling a little bit tired because I still went to bed. I went to bed more at my normal time, which is kind of 11:30, 12. But again, still, you know, I'm getting up at 6:30, and if I'm tired, then I get up a little bit later. But what happens to me is that as soon as the sun comes into my room, that's my wake-up call. So I don't need an alarm. The sun, my body clock is just like 6 o'clock. Oh, okay. So it is thinking about how, you know, again, when you're asked that question and you ask yourself several times, how are you feeling? I remember a doctor once asking me that. There was a period of, I was going through a lot of stress in my life, and she asked me, so I was saying to you, you know, I was feeling a bit off and all of this, and you don't expect doctors to, you know, it's just like, well, where's the pain? What are the symptoms? Because that's what we treat here. Because what she asked me, she said, so, how are you? And she said it in a tone that was just like that. So, how are you? No, it was like, so, how are you? It was said with a lot of care, is my point. And I burst into tears. And it was just like, do you know what? I'm saying in my head, do you know what? I haven't been asked how I am for years. You know, people ask you, but they're not really interested in the reply because it's,
oh, how are you doing? So yeah, you know, how's things been going? Yeah, I've been like,
you know. But so I found what I needed was self-care. What I needed was to step away from my situation. And, you know, I had a 3-year-old son, and or was he 3 at the time? Who knows? But I went through a period where I needed a lot of rest, in the sense of a rest from your normal routines, and to think about yourself and how you would look after yourself. So if I wanted to shower myself with love, what would that look like? You know, that might mean taking yourself for that walk in the park because you know you love the park. You know you like looking at gardens and flowers. You know, you don't have... we had a decent sized garden, but when you looked at the neighbours' gardens and seeing the different flowers in bloom, so actually going for a walk around your neighbourhood, that was something that really did help me, because I was not only getting fit and healthy, and, you know, if there were neighbours out, you say hi, you know, how are you? So connecting with others, and then you know, seeing, it's that horticultural therapy, seeing the plants and the flowers in bloom. And, you know, some people grew similar things to others, but there were other people who had some really beautiful flowers, lovely colours. And so that was a therapy, just walking around and getting fresh air. And for a lot of people, they don't realise, and this is really, we've really kind of, I think this is a necessary part of the conversation anyway. It was necessary. But a lot of people maybe don't look at, because the situation is really kind of in your face and really urgent at that time, because it's gotten so bad that it's been a long time since you've looked after yourself. I mean, you do the general, you know, you do have a shower, you go and, you know, you do the kind of routines, but really take stock at where it is you're going, what is it you want for your life, how are you feeling about situations, are there things you need to let go, are there things you need to bring in. So, as I said, you know, if you're running around, kind of, you know, you're going from work to home to kids to this to that, you've not given yourself enough time to like just self-reflect even and say, okay, where do I want to be in a year's time? Where do I want to be in 6 months? Is what I'm doing now going to help me get to where I want to be? And my shoulders are feeling a little bit chilled. You say to yourself, I thought you was in the aren't you in the tropics? It's just like, yeah, but this is part of my self-care. There comes a moment in time where my body temperature goes really low. Maybe I might need to look at my blood pressure actually, because but I know for myself that I've been anemic, so I will feel a lot more chilled, and this has lasted for years, so I have to top up my iron supplements. And the moringa tree, that's probably why I've got so many planted. The moringa tree is a great source of B vitamins, and I think it's got iron in it as well. It's got over 44 different vitamins. Anyway, so yeah, I get a bit chilled and so need to, just even this helps. Otherwise, I would have started sneezing. Now, I don't know whether any of you have had this. I never used to have it in my younger days, but as I've got older, like if my body temperature goes down and I don't like either get a shawl or a cardigan, I'll start sneezing and it will be as if I've got a cold. It's really, really weird. And as soon as I've raised my inner body temperature, I become okay. So I can feel my inner body temperature increasing because I'm feeling a little bit warm now, but it's like you need to keep it on because the inside has not yet matched the outside. Anyway, so we were looking at the word abundance, and when you think about what you have, again, that's why you need to do some self-reflecting. And it's not to say, you know, yeah, I want a mansion on the hills and 3 cars and this and that and that. That is not the kind of abundance that I'm talking about. And it's really appreciating what you have. And when we look from a creative perspective, the kind of abundance in terms of recognizing where you are right now in your creative walk and the amount of skills, talents and abilities you have. Now, very often we can say, oh no, I'm rubbish at this, I'm rubbish at that. But what you haven't done is take the skills of where you are and really looked at it, examined it to see what things are transferable to the very thing that you want to do. Now I'm trying to, and I was trying to think of examples in terms of myself, but I've learned to look at everything that I have, everything that I own, everything that I do, and look at it from the standpoint of the glass is half full. So let's take this space for instance. So it's a lovely studio space. I mean, I started off from the end, and I've got the table here, my kitchen table, one end of the kitchen table that I had to keep, you know, at the end of the session, whatever I was doing, I had to clear it away. And, you know, obviously, because you didn't want the place to look a mess, and I'm a collector, so I had other things. So I had to compromise in terms of, okay, you're going to take the table as well. But, so I've got a lovely space. But there's things I would still love to do with it. Like I've got a leak when it rains in a particular direction. I've got a tiny leak that needs to be fixed upstairs. There's other things to be fixed, but it's just like you don't look at what's wrong with the thing, you look at what's right, what's working at the moment. The fact is I can come in here from every day and do the work that I want to do. I've got my supplies around me, I've got, you know, things that I want to work on, and the biggest thing is that I can do a piece of work and I don't have to clear it away. Now, those of you who, there are some of you that will get it because you know how far you've come, you know, or you might still be working on your kitchen table, and that feeling of, oh, I wish I didn't have to clear it away at the end of the night is just one that's like, oh my goodness. Anyway, so that's one of the things, you know, looking at the situation as the glass half full. The glass is half full, it's not half empty. And then if you're, in terms of the abundance, like, you know, you may think, but I'm really stuck to think about the positives. You might say, you know, I've got an abundance of dust in here, I've got an abundance of ants that come in. I mean, I do have, I don't know, they come from outside, and it's usually when I've got a cup of tea. I don't know, one of them may be wandering around and then they send out the call.
Hey guys, you know, she's drinking a cup of tea, there's going to be some...
You know, like I usually leave a little bit in the end of the cup. And so, you know, I could be working and then the next minute I find that these ants are going in my cup, you know. But look at, you know, I look outside and I'm in the Caribbean. The sun's shining. Oh my gosh, there's an abundance of sunshine. Yeah, we have the rainy season, but the rain waters, you know, wets the ground, waters the plants, allows the plants to grow so that I can, you know, get fruit and I can get my dream food forest going on out there. So when you look at things that, you know, there may be certain things out of your control, but you have to look at the things that you have and how you can celebrate those things, because it doesn't aid you looking at the negative things. It doesn't aid you thinking, oh, I can't do this because of this. It's just like, but what can you do? You know, I can only work on my kitchen table. So have some, you know, containers that you can put some of your stuff in, or have certain projects that you work on. You can work around ways in which, you know, you can make a situation work. Yeah, think about what it is you have that you can celebrate, and think about it from that standpoint that, you know, I'm sitting in abundance. So abundance, think about all the things that you have, all the things that you can do, you know, with, you know, some places going into lockdown, you're able to, even though you can't see family, can you ring them? You know, can you FaceTime them? You know, think about what you can do rather than, oh, you know, I can't see this and I can't see that. Now, think about those things. You know, can you still go out and exercise? Can you still go out and get fresh air? So these are the precious things that we think, you know, we're just so not used to suddenly being told we can't do these things. From a creative perspective, when we look at our creativity, we think about the things that we can do. Look at your supplies now, and rather than think, oh my gosh, I need this and I need that and I need to go out and buy that, have you actually used your supplies on different surfaces? You know, do you know how they work on different surfaces? Do you know, like, if you combine several supplies together? Like, I was surprised to know that I could use gesso with everything. I use gesso on cloth, paper, I use it with, you know, paint, I use it with pastels, and that was the latest kind of revelation. Oh my gosh, I had these pastels sitting here and I'd hardly use them, and this was before I did the 100 days of pastels, but it was great. They're going to start going again. Can you hear that siren in the distance? Anyway, but it was great to be able to find another use for the pastels, because I was that close to sort of like, I don't need them, I might as well just give them away, but I've found a good use for them. And all the paper now that I've been collecting over the years, turning them into journals. It's just like I used to love, and I'm looking at a whole heap of them now. I loved collecting papers, and every now and again just kind of do a recce of, you know, what you have, your supplies, because I'm sure you'll find supplies that you forgot you had, and that's almost like going shopping again, where all the shops are shut, or, you know, a lot of people are buying online, but it's almost like having a whole new set of supplies when you actually think to yourself, well, actually, let me just look at these supplies. And some supplies you realise that, you know, they've mashed up. Like my ink pads, I had at least 30 ink pads, and this is one I tried to rescue. This is, I had to put a pad on there, but all my ink pads, so this is a replacement pad, all of the original ones that are in here, there was at least 20 of them disintegrated, and I've got the this is the they disintegrated, and as you do, so that's the ink pad, the foam ink pad that disintegrated, and the ink that was in it. So I thought to myself, oh, as you do, I didn't want to throw them away. I wanted to experiment with them, so that's what I'm going to do. I just found these little containers, so I thought, let me just experiment with them. See, as I said, they all disintegrated, and yeah, I just took them off, and I did have a video. I'm not sure whether I've shown the video. Oh, I might show it after this. Anyway, but that's that. So go around and look at what you have and see, you know, what you can either resurrect or give it away. You know, I gave away a lot when we had our artist materials bank. I gave away to the materials bank because it was just like, other artists will be able to benefit from it, so why not? I'd even brought clay. I went to the Red Pottery Village here, where they sell clay. So they sell them in either packets of 2 or packets of 4. So yeah, get a packet of 4. And have you got a kiln? No. But what I'm hoping is that one of the artists or ceramicists who've got a kiln will let me use their kiln. So I've got to sort that out. But I had brought 4 of them, and I ended up giving one away, and I've been making some small things. And what I do want to build is a mini fire pit, so that I can use the traditional methods of firing them. So that's what I'm going to do. That's one of the things I'm going to do. So it's just like looking at but at least I was able to give some away. And then, you know, another artist who may not have been able to buy a whole thing could say, let me experiment with, I cut them into like, it was that big, and I cut it into 4, so you had at least, you know, a good size to make, you know, quite a few things, small things, yeah. But then if you're just experimenting, that's all you need. So go through your things and resurrect them and say, okay, you know, I've been sitting on this mountain of supplies, this abundance of supplies, and I've not really taken a good look at it. And oh my gosh, I didn't know that this worked with fabric, and oh my gosh, look at the colours, or oh dear, it's dried out. And that happened to me in my inks. I don't know what I was saving the inks for. It was just like, yeah, saving for best. And some of them dried out, but I've moved them. I'm not sure whether it's a position, but I've moved them anyway, and have started making the most of it, and that's what I want you to do. So think the glass is half full as opposed to half empty, and think about the abundance that you're sitting on. Think about the abundance that you have around you. Think about the things that you have that maybe you can share, maybe you can, you know, give it away because actually you're not really using it. You're not using it, yeah. Or, you know, get together with some other artists, and, you know, we've all got stuff that we collect. So maybe it is, you know, you can do like a share and swap session. Everybody brings something that they've not used, and then see if somebody else wants to swap it with something. But again, you can roll it out to the rest of your life. You know, we are living in a society that, you know, everybody has an abundance of things, and there are those who don't. And so what can you do to help somebody else? You know, that is the ultimate. There's no point in sitting in all this stuff and, you know, somebody else is sitting there, they don't have a home, they don't have food, they don't have access to, you know, even the basic stuff. When it's overflowing for you, and it's just like it's going to waste. Because that's the negative part of, you know, sitting sitting in abundance and not doing anything with it, you know, not sharing it, not putting it to good use, not sharing your gift. You have an abundance of gifts that you're sitting on. You have an abundance of gifts that you need to share out into the world. You need to shine your light. You need to show up. And sometimes you don't feel like showing up, but you need to. You need to put those negative thoughts aside, and you need to do what you need to do. You need to show up. You need to care about yourself enough, and you need to stop talking nonsense to yourself about yourself. You know, it's just like that. Oh, look at her. You know, who does she think she is? This is self-critic. But you need to speak something positive to yourself on a daily basis. So even if it's you have an abundance of things and you are going to make the most of each and every day and shine your light. So let's get on. I hope that it's not been too much jumping about today, but the main theme is abundance. But, you know, sometimes we need to just hang and chill, you know, and say what's on our minds. And I hope you feel free to say how you are in the comments. And for my podcast listeners, you know, I look forward to connecting with you too. You can leave a comment on whatever platform that you're on. I'll still get it. And, you know, if you are listening on the podcast, then hop over and check out the video. Okay, so take care for now. Stay blessed as always and be a blessing.